Want to see some amazing artwork like this? We're going to go through all of these artworks. This is part 2 of Share the Hobby Love February. Part 1 I didn't really do very many, so we've got about 100 to go through, so I'm going to try and zip through it because that is a crazy amount to get through. I was probably a little bit low energy on the last one. I feel much more cheerful, much more upbeat, and much readier to look at some amazing miniature artists, discover some new works and share them all with you. First up we have Owl Shield. Is it Necropolis 828? Owl Shield is the creator of Necropolis 28. It's an amazing imagined game. It's really interesting, and the models that people have made for it are absolutely wild. And here is his town slash fortress. So, well, a walled town is made. It's absolutely stunning. I love the actual wall textures themselves. They're really nice, kind of ancient wattle and daub or plaster or something. I don't know, like lime. They look like ancient lime wash buildings, and I really love that effect. I also love the moon logo for whatever faction it is. Like, it's super haunting. It's very subtle, just a little blue balloon head with creepy eyes. This is beautiful. I'd love to have a game on this. It just creates so much atmosphere and feeling. Yeah, it's super cool. I really like the grime dripping down from the tiles. It has a real feeling of Resident Evil 4, and I think one of my favourite games of all time, and I'm super here for it. Ever Chasing Calm is making models for Necropolis 28, and here is his amazing pig captain. I love this model. It's very it looks fairly craven, and I love that he's given so much personality to a horrible little pig miniature. So, yeah, it's fantastic. Really nicely captured the wretchedness, and you can see how well the tones match the grubby earth tones of the entire board. So yes, it's awesome. Arctic Scutari with this Arctic Scutari. Props for choosing a name that is very specific to what you're making, because it just makes it so much easier to find you when I'm trying to look for you again. So that's really cool. I love this Scutari, and actually all of the Arctic Scutari. I haven't really ever seen them been done in a white scheme before, and it really works. Captures their like inhumanity. I love all the different like blue tones on the snow cloak. I love like general snow things, and I think this is a brilliant idea. I think it's brilliantly executed, and I love it. Jake Parker X with this not at all suspicious old man. He just happens to be walking on a desert planet with some, his elderly man helpers that have to wear these robes and look this sinister. So, Palpatine's a brilliant character, and Palpatine's guard. I think a lot of like extended universe Star Wars stuff managed to make it feel actually smaller once you find out all the information. I'm sure somewhere somebody has written some enormous amount of detail about these guys, but I've never found any of it. And because I've never found any of it, they still hold a lovely mystique, and these just look absolutely cracking. I really like the subtle like blend of the sand onto the boots and the base of the cloaks. It's not overdone. They haven't been rolling around in sand, but they look absolutely fantastic. The Emperor's Artists, a super cool guy, and he has just a wild collection of tanks. How many Baneblades is too many Baneblades? I don't know, but this is amazing. To see all of Bane varieties, I think it's a real addiction once it starts. It's something I've seldom met guard players who have one Bane variant and not 1 or 2 or maybe 3 or maybe 4. I think once you've got it there, you really want the others, because it's such an epic tonk. Just such a good tank. It's amazing. He's really interesting in the way he makes videos, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he does in the future. Ministry of Mini Painting with Argyle Tull, the best Chaos Space Marine of all of them. I do like Khan, but I think Argyle Tull is better, and he got done so dirty. But he's it's difficult because all Chaos characters have to be in some way tragic, and I feel like he has a real sense of tragedy to him. What's not tragic is the brilliance of this paint job. It looks absolutely fantastic. I love the he's really captured pale white skin. Looks fairly diseased. There's a lovely transition on the claw arm into the armor, and actually my favorite part of it is the knee joint, where the armor and the flesh just kind of like coming apart. There's often those armor flesh transitions done on Chaos miniatures, and I think it's quite difficult to make them look not bad. because it can be such a jarring contrast, and he has really done some amazing complementary colours on this. The poor old salamander, I don't begrudge I will tell that, because you know he's the best. Scottish Asian Warhammers with this plague marine / mushroom marine. I love how he's got all these different types of mushroom on the model. He hasn't just gone for one mushroom. You can see the kind of cordyceps flesh flaps coming out the top of his head, but coming out of his guts, this lovely like bit of Phytophora. Yeah, absolutely wonderful for including different types of mushrooms here. I really like this model. I love mushroom marines. I love mushrooms on things, but I think it just looks amazing. Some great modeling skills here, and really nice attention to detail with like the opening flap with the little eye in the base. Lovely. Well, gross, but lovely. Sam Hammer 40k with one of my all-time favourite models, the OG Fire Prism. The Fire Prism that was in the first copy of White Dwarf that I ever bought. That totally captured my imagination, because there's an amazing battle report with Bealtan versus Blood Angels, and I have never, and still to this day, I have a huge grudge on Blood Angels whenever I come across them. So it's great. It's been really cool seeing him dig out all of his old collection, and it's such a wonderful thing to see people's old Hammer work and what they do next. So he's building up to having like a new army, and I'm so excited about it. But you know, it was one of those models where the mixture of metal and plastic was a bit of a nightmare. The actual turret, the prism itself is so heavy. It's really hard to state how heavy it is because it is just a big solid lump of metal. But I really like this. I love that like alternate Bealtan little, rather than doing black thorns, doing blue thorns to go with the prism itself. Just a lovely piece of nostalgia. Reliquat 28 with this rat bat horror thing. It is so unbelievably gross. I love a little part of the jaw on the proboscis vomit thing that's coming out of its mouth. The paintwork on this is spectacular. Very difficult to get like lots and lots of different textures that dark but make them distinct. It's lovely to see you've got this black shiny armor, then the brownish fur underneath that then mixes into the like gross bloody goiters sticking out. Yeah, this is a beautiful model, beautifully painted, and haunts my dreams. Luca Panache, absolutely nailing a World Eater. Praetorian models are fantastic, and this one suits World Eaters so much. I really like what he's done with the head with the butcher's nails on it. The chunkiness and the brutality of the World Eaters really comes forward on that. Yeah, I think it looks absolutely fantastic. I would love to see, check out, I've seen lots of his work, but I'm going to check out the rest of it, because looking at this, I'm just thinking that a World Eater's army and that like absolutely brass and subtle reds just looks so good, and I'd love to see more. No backward step, and the big man himself working off Horace's new model and the art thereof. This just looks fantastic. I really like this account. I love seeing all the line drawings they're doing of all these different Warhammer characters, because it's just really cool to see people using different skills and techniques to do these things. Not much of a draftsman, so it's very cool to see people when they are. It's really got the perspective right, and how brutal and powerful he is. Don't want to spoil anything for End of the Death, but it is on. So I'm very excited about that. Diesel tone with this kitbash, which is one of my all-time favourite kitbashes. I'm not really sure what it I don't think you need to know what it is. It's kind of a steampunk medieval knight. I could really imagine this being in some like appallingly awful feudal world. There's some serious modeling techniques going on here, and I love all of them. I love just like looking at how all the bits fit together and the weird shapes that is created. The fist down below, the fact that the arms and the legs, and you can't really see, it's really hard to work out where anything's meant to be, and the grimy white painting as well. This model captures a very specific mood, and I'm all about that, and I would love to see more. It immediately makes me think there's this whole world around this that I just want to dive right into. Unai paints minis with a little beatbop robot. So, the Iron Kin are a great addition to 40k lore. I'm really looking forward to seeing where they go. I'm almost certain that it's going to go really wrong, despite the fact that, you know, they've had 10,000 years to not go wrong. But AI always goes wrong in 40k, so I feel like there's some bad stuff coming. I love the paint job, and it makes me feel that the head, this black orb, is really the AI itself, and it has just been lowered and sort of attached to this clone skin body, as artificial as it might be, and that at any time you could remove it, or just, you know, you destroy the whole body, but as long as the head's intact, you can keep placing it into different machines and different machines and different machines, and that really is very cool. Having that sort of contrast between black shininess and then the grubby detailed armor is really clever. Andrew made Meridian miniatures with a brilliant sculpt. If you're a fan of folk horror and you're a certain age, you probably would have seen The League of Gentlemen and The Beast of Royston Vasey, and I feel like he's just captured how gross it is if you stitch a bunch of animals together to try and create a horrible monster. It's such a cool sculpt, and even when you look at the actual faces, when you suddenly start to look at the faces of the figures that are carrying them up, they're ghoulish in themselves, so they're doing a terrible job of trying to blend in, certainly, but they're monsters themselves, and then this thing itself is just unbelievably disgusting. I love it. It's just so funny. It really is very funny, and I love humor in models, and I think this is it. Grimdark Scott with the best named dread of all time, Fat Daddy. That's absolutely brilliant. So, I've said how much I hate these things. They are just the most appalling beasts you could possibly get. This it's really grotesque. The color scheme is absolutely fantastic. He's done an amazing job painting it. I love the like teal on it. It somehow makes it look more disgusting, which is quite a challenge with teal. Amazing work, mate. Daintist, and I chose this one just for a tiny detail on the base, which is this lovely, super friendly mushroom guy, which looks so fun. It really does look lovely. I'm a big fan of that Sciencepie demonette hairpiece as well. I've used that quite a few times because it's such a dramatic. It's a really nice kitbash. All of this, it just has such a personal feeling of it. The little weird knife spiky creature thing is disturbing and cool as well. It's just bizarre, and I love it. Celestial Lion 40k with these Celestial Lions. You've got a bust here and a Primarch Intercessors. I love the lore around the Celestial Lions. The Inquisition obviously don't like them very much. It's quite hard to talk about them without spoiling loads of stories, but I really recommend that you go and read up about the Celestial Lions, because they're one of my absolute favourite chapters, and they've got a really cool scheme as well. I love the gold and blue. It can be quite hard to pull off, but he really has done an amazing job here, and it's really nice to see the battle damage on the blue helm, the shield pauldron thing, I can't remember what those are called, and also just to see the kind of consistency over different scales of miniatures as well, which is amazing because they're obviously like hugely different sizes. So painting them to look that similar is really great. Noble Administratum kit bashing these very cool tanks that he's called the Badgers, and they just look awesome. Really very cool. They remind me of the ATV in Aliens, which I think is big, is quite a big 40k influence anyway. Using those like World War II tank chassis kits looks brilliant. I love the fact that he's put the repulsor parts on them so that they've got like an anti-grav as well. They're great fun kit bashes, and I really like them. I would love to work a bit more with alternate brands and parts from other kits and places, and I think definitely starting with armor would be useful. Legionnaire minis with these Black Templar female Space Marines. They look cool. Not only are they just wonderfully painted with epic amounts of hazard stripes. You've got hazard stripes on the chainsaw sword, which feels completely appropriate, and hazard stripes on the heavy bolter. That just looks absolutely mega. They've put an amazing amounts of detail in here. The lovely transfers on the banner to just give it that scroll work, and the red glow, like red OSL all around the helmet and all around the rebreather, reflecting back off the banner as well. That's a really, really nice touch. These are just spectacularly painted. I'd love to own these. They're super cool in the way that they're kit bashed. They're super cool in the way that they're painted. They're super cool in concept. They are just super cool. Well done. Dark Magos Maul with his great fun Chaos Walker thing. It looks really fun, while at the same time being like powerful and disturbing, and quite sort of like more human than they normally do. I think it's really something to do with how articulated the head and face is, and I think he's captured that transition from loyalist to Chaos Marine, loyalist to traitor. Biological parts of it really start to take over, and it becomes much more of a giant creature than something that was ever piloted. It looks fantastic. The posing's really nice. I love the giant chain glaive. The brass holding it together seems very appropriate as well. Not to mention just the lovely little looking, is it an Ursus claw? It's some sort of claw. It's cool. Humble Bricolor, this terrifying dragon. Oh. Obviously the hobby has lots of people making dragons, and I think often they just don't look very terrifying. This looks absolutely disturbing as anything. I think that mixture of just a single green eye, then the bone textures and the bloody, fleshy, pulpating wings, it looks fantastic. And part of his overall Curse City diorama / game board that all together just conjures so much coolness and joy. I love it. The wannabe painter. I feel like you are a painter. You don't have to wannabe. With this Death Guard. I chose this one because the plasma glow on it, it's really cool. It's so subtle, the way that it reflects off the grill of the helm and around the kind of like neck chalice bit. I would love to see this photographed or screenshotted or edited so that it was against a black background, because I think the whiteness around it kind of washes out a little bit, but I think that would pop even more. And I really love OSL glow. I'm not very good at it myself. I think this looks fantastic. So yeah, wannabe painter, you are a painter. Ireland is painting, and these very cool kit bashes. The little bronze internal like face masks with the cowls over them. Oh, there's something amazing about these. They're very flavourful, and they conjure up the image, or like a bit like Ash Waste models, but maybe slightly more urban. There is a cool Pedro Pascal film called Prospect, which I think probably gave him all of those other roles so, that he's been amazing in, killing it in recently. But it's got a very specific aesthetic, and it has these really interesting helmets and rebreathers, and I love that kind of backpack with all those different, I love this sort of vault backpack with all those different pipes coming out of it. Also nice, just the custom sort of shonky rifle things. Those details just create story and interest immediately. There's some serious modelling skills going on here, and I want to know more. Sam F. Darash was champion of chaos, looking fearsome as anything. Lovely kit bash using the Dominion kit. Really, really like the flag and how it's folded over on itself, and the textures and colours on it. I think that is absolutely beautiful. And also the mottling on the green cape. Just every part of that model is beautifully made, beautifully painted, and looks menacing as F. Scattered flesh, doing what everyone should do with their tanks. So, I appreciate budgetarily difficult, but turning a Land Raider into horrible Chaos Chapel just looks amazing. Lovely OSL on the glowing spotlights, and actually the way that he's separated each of the lamps so that each one has got its own glow, that's really lovely detail. This tank looks absolutely mega. I love how the vault works on top of it. It's just such a beast of a kit, and it is brutally good. Paint Party Scott with Shalaxi Hellbane, a hell of a kit. I've never seen one in real life. I've never faced Slaanesh, which is a real shame because Eldar always have special rules for them and you never ever get to use them. So it was amazing to see the Greater Demon in all this grotesque beauty. I love that kind of, it's a geniusly designed kit, much bigger than it actually looks. And I think the flesh suspenders that are made out of its own flesh is such a disgusting touch, and it really is suits the whole model perfectly. And all of those fleshy tones are just spot on. Where you got the dark pinks and purples, the Slaanesh icon on the base looks top. Stibbo Primaris. Really cool guy, lovely. I definitely follow him on TikTok because he makes some great videos. And this like chonky marine, the chonkiest of all the chonky marines. It's so cute. It's so cute, so intensely ridiculous, and I think something that makes it more ridiculous and more brilliant is just the standard that he's painted it to as well is outrageous, considering how ridiculous the model is. So I'm all here for doing things that are funny, for doing them to the absolute best of your ability, smashing it out of the park, creating something that is memeable and as brilliant as this. This one should probably come with a content warning because it makes me feel ill. Mangling Minis with his cow. The reflection on the like lip of the orifice is something to behold. Yeah, this is a really good example, not only of like just wild creativity and horror and making amazing minis and all that side of it, but of texture. You look at the mixture of like the leathery flesh around the nose, the like elephant trunk nose and the eyes, and then the slickness of the lip and the internal and like the gooiness of the internal mouth. Yeah, it's a brilliant piece of modelling. It really is a brilliant piece of modelling. It looks so utterly awful, disgusting and repugnant. Like a modern day Hieronymus Bosch is marvellous. Xeon Alive with one of the Corvus Cabal. Amazing kits, made even better by this lovely kind of scene like dioramic base. There probably is a word for these square bases where you've got like a little bit of stuff and then the background behind. Can't remember what it is. I struggle a little bit sometimes to make models look as dark as they could be, and I think he's really nailed this here by painting the whole of the cultist and the base in these very like dark, like grim tones, and then having this quite vibrant red background which increases the contrast and makes it much darker and darker up front. Gives it really sort of this like depth of colour and feeling, and it's so dramatic. It's such a cool piece, and I really like it. God for the God Blood. Cool name. It's a really cool name. This is a really cool kit bash. I love where he's got all the details from, like those pauldrons, the little imperial wings, what are they called? The Guardian Spear. They've really gone for upping the grimdark quotient on this custodian, and it just looks sinister, intense, imposing. Warp Painter with 3, my favourite painted marines of all time. So thanks, mate. It's a real treat for me to get to see these. If you haven't seen this stuff before, the central grotesque Chaos Space Marine had just captured something in the lore and the art so brutally well. that it is just, that has come in my headcanon of like a classic of modelling. And you know, I look at it a lot for references, because just the paleness and grotesqueness of ripping flesh and the wretchedness of the head is perfection, flanked by an ever-fighting Cornite Marine and one of the Minotaurs, the most suspicious, I mean definitely loyalist, but definitely most suspicious and corrupt of the legions. Well, corrupt is maybe the wrong time. It's basically the Lords of Terror's private army. I wonder if Gilliman's sorted that out yet. Gilliman definitely hasn't sorted that out yet. He needs to sort that out. The Lion's going to come back and sort that out, so you know, it's all job done. Dark Knight 383 with 3 of the many awesome dog sculpts that have come out fairly recently. So I'm sure he's going to be adding to this with the new one for the BTs. They all look nails, but it has even just this picture has a really nice feel of you've just gone round a corner, you've walked in somebody's yard, you're in exactly the wrong place, you are about to brutally be torn apart. These are good doggos, but only if they're your own personal ones, and I imagine they have to have some sort of like spinal inhibitor to stop them from literally just tearing everyone apart continuously. Brilliant barking work. Astropunk capturing in Lego exactly what it feels like to work in any sort of online or phone-based customer service. It's really cool. It's so cool. I love his work, and it just shows the amazing feeling and textures, feeling that you can create with Lego these days. And it just looks absolutely fantastic, and it's so funny. So yeah, brilliant. The Void Winds might be my favourite creator of Exodites, favourite creator of Corsairs, one of my favourite Elder creators, full stop, favourite creator of Navis Nobiliite, Navis Nobiliite, and now he is absolutely smashing it as my favourite sculptor of Grinxes. So here is his near fossilised Farseer, who himself is brilliant. The sculpting, Voidwinds is a fantastic sculptor, and the green stuff bandages and the like shriveled nature of the Farseer, I think, captures a really nice mixture of Slan and an Eldar. And then you look at the Grinx, where it's lying, and how he's sculpted the ribs and the paw kind of going over the sideways leg position is exactly what a cat looks like, and exactly what like a skinny kind of lazy cat looks like, and just always blown away by his creativity and how in these like small vignettes he creates so much character and meaning and storytelling. If you don't follow him, you should follow him. Colificer 28 with this sort of mechanized steampunk version of Stalin, which is very intense. It's an intense model. Reminds me a lot of the walkers from the Iron Harvest series. Probably because it's that specific era, but this is a kind of melange of brilliant hobbying techniques, madness. I love the smoke coming out of the exhaust, or possibly the guns. I think they're guns. I think they're cannons, and the tiny captain like right up at the back, just behind the sort of figurehead. This is from an alternate nightmare, and it looks amazing. Joe Pace art. Big regular for the channel, and he has painted Lord Croak spectacularly. It's a really cool model. I think it's something that painters use a lot to showcase their talent, and in this case you can see the pure talent and skill that's gone into it. Lovely green and blue colour scheme, really nice transitions. The reeds look amazing. The Croak himself looks amazing. As a showpiece, I don't think this can be beat. It looks fantastic. Glazers is making a piece that is based on some art of Abaddon, the Despoiler, but also using my Guilliman piece as reference, which is hugely flattering. So I like that a lot. It's very cool to be used as inspiration for anything, so that is amazing. And it's gonna look absolutely wild. I think I'm really excited to see it. I love how the dais works. I really like the repositioning that he's done of it, and I think this is probably going to work as an absolutely amazing companion piece to my work, which is, yeah, that's just so cool. So yeah, I'm really excited for this project. I think it's going to be absolutely epic. I love it. It's kind of like a mashup of different things. It's not any like one specific reference, and I just think he is doing a brilliant job. And and thanks, mate, for reaching out and chatting to me. And yeah, I'm so excited about this. So keep watching for more. Merlin the Preposterous Wizard with this preposterous wizard. I think if you're using this as a D&D token, you should just win. Really, the face alone is worth a million points, a million internet points. Face alone is worth a million internet points. It's so much fun. It's got so much character. You can just see this. You can see how you look at it and you immediately understand the braying, ridiculous awfulness of this character, but at the same time you can't help but like completely love them. Captain Power 666, strong name, strong modelling skills, strong paintwork. This robot chicken guy looks awesome. Love the single hazard stripe on the exhaust and the armor plate on the thigh. Really nice OSL glow around the eyes and the I don't know, Walker's stabilizing bits. And I think one of the reasons I did choose this as well is just because of that lovely orange to yellow on the Skitari's coat. Oh, it just looks beautiful. 18th for Stroyan, using technique that I think was invented by Ingrimison, but that's where he saw it, definitely. And that is basically using postage stamps as flags, as banners, to get the detail there. And I really like to try this out myself. I've seen lots of models using it, and it always looks it just adds a level of depth and skill and classness to this. I love this guy's army in general, so to see this addition to it, I was extremely happy for. I was extremely happy because I always think that he's always trying such ambitious things and pulling it off, and they look amazing and it looks so much fun. I'd love to see, once the whole army is done, it's going to be a sight to behold. One of my patrons and lovely guy, Super Witch Minis, with this old school kitbash, this kind of old school Eldar. It reminds me a lot of the very early models, back when you could just put a fusion gun on anything, so if you had the arms. And the helmet itself, just a really nice reminder of those pewter masterpieces, where rather than having very sort of segmented sections, or like the heart shape kind of that's on the modern helmets, you've got this sheer face and then the little grill underneath, and that just looks cracking. Really hits me in the nostalgia vibes. It really hits me in the nostalgia glands, and I love the paint job. That mixture of bone with the hints of purple give it a sort of fleshy and much more organic sense than sometimes like washed out Wraithbone does. And I really like it when people make Wraithbone super organic. Wolf Lich with something that causes me physical pain to conceive of painting. So yeah, that is a lot of eyes. That is a lot of eyes. This is a monstrous thing, and the number of eyes that he's painted on it is brutally disturbing. Texture of the fleshy eyes, the green crackled skin, and the sort of like slight OSL on it. I keep saying OSL, so maybe that's a bit boring, but I think it's really lovely to see the sort of like limited color palette and how disgusting you can make a model look. So this looks properly disgusting. Sky Phoenix 3991. I wonder who was interred into this Contemptor Dreadnought. It is definitely a chaplain, and that chaplain's Crozius is something else. Look at the size of it. brilliant work. Makes me want to do that straight away. So I think this is a head from a knight, wings from the Sanguinary Guard, and I'm not really sure what he's. Maybe it's a bit of orc. Maybe it's a bit of orc exhaust pipe on the actual stick. That looks super boss, and as a kind of custom invention, that is wonderful. Tabletop Pandora's box with the god of wine. So here is a very overtly pissed Bacchus with the proper bulbous wine nose and ruddy cheeks. I was super obsessed with Bacchus for a bit. I had like quite a big sort of Greek phase, which I've never really grown out of. And love the myths and legends. And I think Bacchus of all the gods definitely captured that. I always loved that, like the Dionysian frenzy, the bacchanal, strewing the dancers, ripping people apart and strewing their organs all over trees. All that side of it was so amazing. So yeah, so this is really cool. The shop is a weird wonderland, and when I'm a bit in a better financial position, I'd love to go and see all these wonderful, bizarre things he's made, because they are awesome. Apocrypha now, and a genius kitbash that basically I think belongs in a museum. I think there's quite a lot of argument lately about whether or not making miniatures is art, and I come down firmly in the view that, like, yeah, of course it is. And you look at something like that and you think, yeah, that is just absolutely, it's just so mega. From the rusting to those just tiny like little nautical sigils on the front of it, the mines strapped to the back with chains. It's so much. I'd love to own this. Maybe I've never put this right. The Skits Forge World with one of his many tank conversions, and in this case he's kind of made this like transporter based thing. I think all of his tanks use 40k models and like various kitbash bits to make them look much more like real world equivalent, like tracked vehicles, and so he tends to expand them, give them better proportions, and they have this like brutal aspect to them, as well as just the paintwork is always like immaculate, lovely little details like the 33rd on there, and yeah, I think this is a really cool example of some of his many amazing tanks. Never more minis, and we can just stop now. This is modelling perfection. I think. How do you possibly top the red Gobbo in Gaz's armour, or the red Santa Claus? I don't know. I mean, as a festive model, this just brings so much joy to me. I love all the patterns on the armour, just a like little sort of festive wrapping paper, and the extra Santa squig on there as well. So you've just got all of the Santa Claus models that are possible. 40k universe is inherently ridiculous. It has some absolutely brilliant satire and ridiculousness in it, and the orcs are the absolute pinnacle of that. And this looks it's just so much fun. Mroach 84 with my favourite of Nurgle's creatures, the Bagpuss Sloppity Do, or whatever it's called. The Slimex something. Anyway, whatever it is, I think it was a really creative bit of sculpting on GW's part. They've kind of mixed their like friendly slug guy with the sort of gross shit that you find under the sea, and that is brilliant, because seeing enemies Nurgle stuff gross as well, and it'd be nice if they lent even more into that with some of their with any future kind of Nurgle Demon releases. So I hope they do. And this one is lovely. I really like the color. The color palette is lovely on this. The teal mixed with the kind of ombre pink terracotta-y stuff. That's the sort of thing I'd probably end up painting a kitchen in or something. I don't know. Yeah, looks great. Warpwing using one of my old favorites, the original Grey Knight model with some extended intense power armor intense like power claws to create this stonkingly grabby model. I come across the Grey Knight Terminators all the time on eBay without any arms, and I suppose a great solution to that is to basically just give them your own. And this is a brilliant kitbash. It looks great. I really like the overall feel of this, and I'm really looking forward to seeing it painted. Cyborg Catgirl, owner of one of the best names of anyone, and Operative Umbral 6, already a great model, just made even better by this wonderful base to it, wonderful display base that makes it look like it's hovering in midair, which I hugely approve of. And it's so cool that it's got the like faceplate to it. It's so cool that it's got a nameplate to it, and it is. I think this is the best version of this model that I've seen, hands down. It's a lovely silhouette by itself, but it really adds to it putting it on the display base as well, just making it into a beautiful objet that anyone would be extremely proud to display front and center in their house. Montoya paints with this brutal looking Minotaur. Bloody axe, the fresh blood on the shoulder. I love it when people use different tones of blood that give you a sense of time in the model. So you can definitely tell that the thing that this has hit most recently has been through a shoulder barge from the horn and from the shoulder, so that something has literally splattered against that. And then you've got the slightly duller, like more like older blood on the axe, so that has already started to dry, but I'm pretty sure very quickly it's going to be fresh again, because whatever this is attacking is in real trouble. Daredevil's Craft and another Ironkin. Oh, you're cheating, just keep choosing Ironkin. But I chose this one because it's sort of almost the opposite of the last one. Because the armor's a lot cleaner, but then you've got this lovely like red yellow reflection on the helmet that almost looks like it's illuminated from within and is building up some sort of horrible pressure for the inevitable betrayal of all the AI and the end of the Votan. Red Star 40k and this lovely Viginette where you've got this very darkly lit ship just orbiting or coming past a planet or a moon, and it's simple. It creates a really nice feeling. I really like the way he takes pictures of minis because they kind of create a larger world, and it reminds me a lot of like how people used to use miniatures in films to make them look more to illustrate science fiction concepts especially, and you just see this like hint of the engine, the hint of the suit, the mega structure as it cruises past the moon. It's lovely. The shell face and there's this robot that really reminds me of the illustrations in Rogue Trader I think they've just described them as the robots or the killer robots. And all of this, there's some wonderful illustrations in there, and this one kind of captures that weird jankiness of it, and I think it looks awesome. Also, absolute bonus points for having hazard stripes on the massive fists. As if anyone needs a warning that thing is coming after them. Miserable minis showing exactly what you can do with these Praetors. Anything. You could just put them in any chapter and they look perfect and absolutely brilliant. Blood Angels, you'd think that something that's that kind of stolid wouldn't necessarily work, but then you look at this and you think, oh, because of the ornateness of the model itself, it just matches up to it perfectly. And actually, if you think about a lot more of the recent lore and information about like their previous existence as the Revenants, rather than just leaning into being like aesthetic icons, having them being brutally beautiful, I think is a really cool. Small Things minis and this lovely duo. The bound statuette in the background, I think gives some weight and heft with a much more jocular figure in the front, and I love how taking outside on some natural rocks it creates a feeling you've stumbled across some private ritual where very quickly you're going to become part of it. Totally not panicking. Oh, this model is is a doozy. This sort of fleshy figure with its face cut off and the internals of its face just bare and on display. He's an absolute master of making creative, horrific models, and I don't think it gets any more horrific than this. It feels a lot to me as if it's just pushed itself back up and torn its face off as it's come out of the earth. So, you can see like where the green of the base kind of cascades onto the rest of it. So it's hard to know which bit where it starts and where it finishes, which part came first. He's in a real league of his own of creating horror miniatures, and like the more I look at it, the more I want to look away. Mercenary painting and one of the new Carskin guards. First up, well done for getting hold of it. I know that some people have had some have struggled a little bit getting hold of the kill team boxes. I think it's great. I think it's a great mark of how well they've updated the sculpts that I can't actually tell whether or not this is. Everyone loves the Carskin, I think, and it's a really neat paint job. The lens of the scope is a lovely little touch, and all that you can see doing different green shades, like different green textures on the armor and the backpack to the gloves. I think it's really nice and neat, and lovely use of the contrasting Martian Earth dust on the base. I really like that, where it's not like just monotone. It's just it just looks grubby, and that's brilliant. Misery minis, and something that I've saved for future reference when painting my next avatar, the one that isn't this one, because I really admire how nicely they've captured the quality of the flame underneath the black armor. It looks super molten, gives it a real sense of heat, and a whole squad of these looks absolutely cracking. Morose Miniatures is the Mobius of the miniature world. maybe it's bold words, but I absolutely stand by them, because the way that he makes miniatures blows my mind. Absolutely blows my mind. Every single one of his models has a very distinct feeling from the others. They all have a huge sense of personality, originality, and wildness. And you look at something like this, and it's just so disturbing. There's something almost romantic about the headless figure huddling, like having the skeleton clutched to it, and the way that the legs blend into the creatures underneath, so it's very hard to know where anything begins and anything ends. And also the mixture of the bright whites, like the bright white creature against the white background and against the bones itself. There's like, where does anything begin and anything end? It is just amazing. Whenever he posts, I am so excited to see it. So just and I'm always looking through his work for references, for inspiration, and for future ideas. So yeah, if you want to see somebody who is an absolute master at coming up with and building things, just check him out. Casual Army Painter. And I had to choose this one because this is an objective marker. From a set of like 4 objective markers, and the fact that it's just got a little guy sat on it, instant storytelling. Every single game that you ever have where that is the objective marker is going to be an unbelievably fun game. I don't know what it is, I don't know why it's there. You could just imagine it sort of kind of like basically like waving people away when they go there. And if there is a unit controlling that objective and then they all die, it's just not moving, just carrying on, maybe spitting up some phlegm or something. Brilliantly creative and really, really, really funny. El Percula, and this beautiful autarch. He's one of those elder painters that I look at their stuff and I think, I wish I could paint that well. A lovely mixture of the super clean red armour, the lovely purple wings, and the green of the giant hat and the power sword. It's such a nice model, and I love that he's used a CD or a DVD to do the base to give it that extra magic, like brightness and reflection. It's really cool. I'm very excited about his project and potentially meeting him at Golden Demon. So yeah, Greeble Studios. Now I chose this because I saw this such a long time ago, and it really influenced my base making, like really heavily, because I just thought, oh yeah, stick something absolutely massive on it. And I'm pretty sure, in fact, that I used the same alternative Renovant head to make a base for one of the Phoenix Lords, and then I painted it really badly, so I don't think I've showed it off. So, but this is such a direct influence on my work of repurposing things and going absolutely wild on the base and making things basically always able to be seen anywhere on the board, which my friends always appreciate massively, because it slightly tones down the absolute janky awfulness of Elder. But thank you, mate, for the inspiration, because it's such a cool idea and it looks amazing. Brizio nerd painting. A lot of the first Age of Sigmar releases sort of passed me by because I wasn't in the hobby at that point again. So I was during my long break, and every now and again I either see them crop out on eBay, or when I'm looking through Games Workshop to see like because I just scroll through their website to look for parts constantly, and I think it was definitely sort of there was a lot of the kind of meme chat about Age of Sigmar just being Sigmarines, and really undersold how amazing a lot of the models are, especially for whatever they're called, the Sigmar's big shiny lads. And this, I think, is case in point. Spectacularly beautiful wings, lovely like wrong head face thing, and the whole model itself is just epic in scope and size and like beautifulness. I know some people don't like the sort of hero hammer and like great big creatures, but for me, GW Games Workshop models there's always been great big creatures that you've really wanted. They just take advantage now of the fact that like plastic is a lot less heavy than metal, so you can make things that are this majestic. Incorrectly named I Should Be Better in Painting by Now. And this horrible thing, I think it's a Chaos Spawn. Very creatively painted, making it all bone, and there's lots of lovely kind of different bone textures with just this gross like leathery mouth in it as well, with the tongue sticking out. I think this looks cracking. I think it captures really well that sense of chaos where something has turned into something else. I can almost imagine that whoever this is just about to attack has gone past like this enormous graveyard of bones, like an elephant graveyard or something, and suddenly there's been an anomaly and this comes to life out of that, and isn't it horrible? It's horrible. It's great. Knave of Scribes creating their namesake, which I really like. I love books, I love tomes, and I love models that capture the mixture of that. I think he's toned down the original miniatures, so there's not so much ephemera around, and it just really focuses on that single pulpit with single, I think it's called, is it called a pulpit? Wherever you could rest books on the scribe itself, and the ghostly candle. Great example of less is more. I know I don't always apply that to myself, but I love the subtlety of the paint job and how it just creates this ethereal look to it. It is wonderful, it is haunting. Iron Bore Garage, conjuring up 40k's peak for me, just having lots of banners. So I love this like alternate Croftwell scheme. Nice neat bit of kit bashing out of the older Elder kit, so you've got a double flag. It's cool as an autarch model. It'd be cool as like a Dire Avenger Exarch as well. There's lots of kind of like multiple things there, and I love the boldness of going for like 2 hand painted flags, which is, I find it really difficult. Who does the bell toll for? The bell tolls for the Hair Salsero. Oh, it's so cool. So yes, I think this would work well as a companion piece to the Churchland Raider. Not 100% sure which variant this is. It's got some Volkite Jubilee Booblies, so it's a big 30k tank, but just adding the Skaven Doom Bell to it makes it amazing. I think these are such, from a modelling perspective, these are such good platforms for kit bashing because you've got this big, wide, open space on top of them. The sort of the Magdi cabling that's leaching out from underneath it really adds to the wretchedness of it. There's some really nice descriptions in the new Siege book of what happens to armour in the Siege, and I imagine this is quite similar to a lot of it. Adcon Miniatures. Would you mess with her? I don't think you would. She is striding purposefully to direct the flow of battle, and I love it. I love the green stuff work, just repositioning it so that you've got the real sense of swagger and the extra bulkiness of the cloak. I feel like, although the Sisters range has got some really nice new models in it, we're missing a lot of updated like ecclesiastical ephemera and like models that could go around that, and this just looks ace. Anima Omnisire, kit bashing one of the Cursed Earth miniatures, the wolf guy, create his own character in his very specialised and imaginative world, which I absolutely love, and hopefully at some point I'm going to make some models for, because I think each piece he's made has got a really strong personality, storytelling behind it, and they end up just looking absolutely fantastic. And this one is a brilliant case in point. All the extras on the head just really change the shape of the model and give it much more of a like noble bent, as well as the book itself. Just adding books always makes a big difference to models. I'm looking forward to seeing what he comes up with in the future, because all of these models have been spectacular so far. JNS 367. How shiny should Constantine Valdor be? This shiny. Oh my god, look at it. Yeah, this is what an amazing base to start painting that to work on that model. It really does. It really has captured that. Like, I think it's really hard to capture the sense of Oromite because it's meant to be like more gold than gold, and I think that this has captured that. So well done. I'm looking forward. I can't wait to see the rest of this miniature. It's going to be amazing. I've started to see a real proliferation of, or maybe it's just because I keep following more people, there's real proliferation of small producers making like one-page rule games and small tabletop games that you can play with, like with whatever. And one of these is Department of Wargaming, and the reason it's stuck out to me is partially because they very specifically made it so that you can make the models out of spare bits of sprue, which is great. We all have an infinite supply of sprue, so that in itself is brilliant, and the artwork that goes with that has just been wonderful. It's really flavorful. It's great fun. I think it's got a very distinct style to it that I really like, and I've been going through the rules and I'm going to see how to play it, and I really like it. I think it's a really fun game system, and yeah, can highly recommend going and have a look. So Blood Angels have been for the longest time my gaming nemesis, but I feel like the Votan are I've only had one game with them, and 2 games, but I only had 2 games with them, and I can see that they're coming, and the particular flavour they're coming in is my mate Elliot's, the Mini Smiths. And here is one of the Hearthkin. I love the scheme that he's chosen. It's so cool to see them in the flesh, as it were. It's got a really nice cream and grey armour scheme with like orange power weapons, which works really well on the tabletop. It looks lovely. These are immaculately, these are beautifully painted models, and I'm sure once it gets up to 2,000 points, they are going to be absolutely savage, I think. think. But yeah, the few games we played, really interesting because it was very much like they weren't so brutally oppressive, but they can do a lot, and yeah, I think they're really fun. And I think he usually plays Tau, so I think he's going to have a lot more fun playing with these, where you can actually do some shit other than like one part phase of the game. so yeah, mate, really looking forward to facing those. Painting ships. And this Mauler Fiend. Obviously, Iron Warriors use the hazard stripes as their just go-to kind of logo, and this, you can see how well this is going to fit in with them. I'm really interested to see how they're going to fit Vashtor in around the lore. They've already made it canon that once a god exists, once a chaos god exists, it has always existed. So especially if actually is successful in the Arcs of Omen campaign, then suddenly there will be a 5th chaos god, and there will have also always been a 5th chaos god, which would make sense that you then have these Soulforge built machines that basically have his fingerprints on. So it can be interesting there. I'm not sure what they're going to do with it. Like, I don't know if they will do anything as dramatic as actually make him officially a fifth god. I suppose it depends on how popular he is. But I do like the idea, and I always try and think when they introduce new characters is that if I was a child, and this is the point where I was getting into the hobby and I read about this and how much it would capture my imagination, and that is really all of the characters that I absolutely adore, the sketches of them, the art of them, the information you actually originally got back in the day is so tiny. It's a name, a brief description, maybe a battle report, like absolutely nothing. And out of that, you extrapolated this enormous universe of things. And so it's really hard to imagine what people will be imagining with these things, but it's going to be cool. Anyway, back to the model. It's a superb example. It looks like it's just erupted from the ground with the snow like underneath its tracks, and then also like on the actual chassis and bits of it too. I mean, this is an absolute masterclass in how to paint this kind of miniature spectacularly. Severus Glaw and these guys. Oh, you think these are really cool. Quite, it's a squad. That looks great. What size are these? And then you look at the details and the things that they're kitbashed from, and then you look at their shoulder pads and you realise those are pauldrons from knights. These are absolutely enormous. Big gargant, Age of Sigmar gargant size, honkingly big monsters. He's done a whole squad of them. Each one of them is super flavorful. The lore behind them is fantastic, and you should read underneath every one of his posts because it is amazing. I think this is my favourite project of this year, hands down. 236 Wargaming, and I actually chose this not necessarily just because of the old school Land Raider, which is very cool by the way, but also because of this gross ruined tree that has a really nice mixture of bright OSL, then all the sort of dark textures, and just like a little points in it that look like it's weeping blood, and captures that World War I sense of the desolation of war, which is captured very well in Heresy and not always necessarily on tabletop, because you want to create scenery and shapes, and you want to create things that are is not just a blasted apocalyptic wasteland, and yet this is blasted and apocalyptic, and it looks so good and it suits the setting so well, and I just think this is inspired. Talking of inspiration, this is Rev Wildfire Minis, and he saw my video about making baubles. He has absolutely smashed that to pieces by making this, which is so much better. It's so much better. Look at that, it's horrible. Really reminds me of the miniature work in Mad God animated film, which is worth checking out. It's so good. It's so good. I am using one half of the bauble to be like mechanical, that's sort of it, and then the internal bit having this gross head in it as well. Yeah, this is a fantastic work, and I'm absolutely honoured that you created something after seeing something that I've done, and you've absolutely smashed it out of the park. Didn't include any of the videos in that section, or I missed off quite a few, so let's let's do those. So first up we have Imperialist Lost, a brilliant modeler of rare distinction, and his walking steam tank walkers, I think the first thing that I saw of his, and they're such brilliant models. They've got so many lovely touches to them, especially the moulded filigree greebling details on them, which is where I stole that idea from, because it's a brilliant idea. And these are super cool, but he is building an absolutely enormous sort of Howl's Moving Castle type walker thing, and that is going to be absolutely fantastic. So yeah, highly recommend this amazing guy. Next up we've got Setsuo, this finished project. It's lovely seeing the start to finish of this, and the paintwork is absolutely beautiful. The cloak looks sensational. The armor reflections are absolutely mint. Bravo, can't wait to see what you do next. Meister Squid, some brutal hazard stripes on the Stormbolter on this Stormbolter. Love the Iron Warriors like pauldron shield thing. I think that just looks absolutely mint. And also the loincloth is a really nice touch to just create a little bit of extra texture on it. But yeah, this is fantastic. This is a lovely kit bash. I really like the scale of this. It just feels super chunky, very brutal, exactly what a Space Marine or even Heretic Space Marine should look like. Fully modded lighting. Oh, I don't know if you've ever tried putting lighting in a miniature. It's not necessarily the easiest thing, and doing every single part of this like a movable knight, that is absolutely wild. This is an incredible project and some serious skills, and props to you for doing that, because you do not have the patience, but it looks absolutely mega. Dad and Lad, or Dad and Lads, because of all his lads, is the most wholesome hobby account, and it's so cool to see any of his work and his kids' work, and I absolutely love these sneaky purple commandos because they look mega. They're so much fun and they're absolutely amazing, and your account brings me loads of joy, so thank you so much for that, because it is an absolute blast anytime I get to see your stuff. So yeah, hope you have a wonderful day. Right, I hope you've enjoyed these two. I'm a bit overwhelmed by the amount of people that joined in, which has been amazing. I think I might have to limit it a bit because it's taken me such a long time to get this video out, and I want to be able to get the videos out as quickly as possible. Next video up is about building this. Next video up is about building that, and how I made it and how I had to smash the inside of it out to get all the bits out. It was a very interesting kit bash and I had a real blast with it. But that is my summer exhibition piece, so fingers crossed we're going to get into art competition, so that's very cool. So that'll be my next video coming up soon. Other than that, I'm going live this Friday with Veronica to talk about Smash Bash, so please check that out. And finally, the last thing, if you do want to support me, if you do want to support the channel, there's Patreon down the bottom. I've got some wild ideas for this year, and hopefully the more patrons I have, the more of these things that I can do, which I know is a bit of a cheek, but like, you know, we'll see how that goes. There's a very cool Discord community growing around that. I've got some amazing artists on there, and it's going to just build and be absolutely wild. Other than that, I hope you've got your tickets for Warhammer Fest, because that's coming up soon. It is Golden Demon season, and I'm super stoked to be there and so excited. And if you see me, do come and say hello, because it's going to be cool. I'm going to have a great time, and I will have Gilliman there in the box. So I will have this to show off on display, so please come and see it in reality once it's finished painted, because I put so much of my life into this model and it'd be very cool if people could come see it. Yeah, I'm really excited about having it in the competition. So have a lovely afternoon. Cheers, bye.